Before jumping into the ESET Enterprise Inspector console, I wanted to highlight the new profile-based installation method. This is very crucial as it helps in reduction of detection overload. You can choose between three profiles, being first for SOCs, which have dedicated resources for EDR. Second is for security focused IT team with some time dedicated for EDR. And finally, an IT administrator with limited time. Depending on the profile you choose, EEI would be optimized for the use case. Going on to the next step, you can also choose between the different type of detection rules to enable. You can choose between threat, warning, and information alarms, or threat and warning alarms, or just the threat alarms. Recommended for SOC, IT teams, and IT admin respectively. Now we will log into our freshly upgraded EEI version 1.6 console. Straight after logging in, you will notice pop-up to enable rule learning mode. This is useful as learning mode automatically creates exclusions to adapt Enterprise Inspector to your network for a specified time and helps you reduce noise on your EEI console. To enable this, you can follow this prompt, select the computers, and choose the learning mode period and hit enable learning mode. I'm not going to enable learning mode as of now. And now you're greeted with a familiar looking EEI console. It shares the same design language as of the ESET Protect console. Like the previous version of EEI, on the left it would highlight the top 10 unresolved threat and warning alarms, and on the right it will highlight top 10 unresolved informational alarms. Let's jump into one of the unresolved detection for potential credential dumping, like a SOC analyst would typically do. You can see it's one of the logarithm process, which is very uncommon and is rarely seen by ESET LiveThread. They can further dive into the process, and just at a glance, you will see this process has made 45 file modification and 0 registry changes and 0 network calls. They will now go under the aggregated events, check what all files were modified. They can also jump into one of these events and be taken to the raw event page, which will highlight what all was going on onto that system when this file was being modified. At any point of the investigation, they can choose back and the EI console will retrace its step back to the origin, which is very convenient and the SOC analyst never gets lost in the investigation. Say we go back into the alarm and want to make sure this is a valid process. Now we can use one of the new features for the case management and raise an internal case for further investigation by creating an incident. We will choose the severity and assign to the correct user. We can now add related objects and going back you will notice a timeline is generated for this case. We can now change the status of this incident depending on the stage of the investigation. All the incidents are listed under the Incidents tab. One can easily follow the progress of the case and check all the related objects, detections, computers, executables, and process. Now let's go back into the dashboard and show you the improved events load page by clicking on this tab. Events load shows you the information about the database size and the total number of events reported and processed by the Enterprise Inspector. It also shows you events per executable and per executable instance. Say one of the legitimate executable was generating a lot of events. You can easily create an exclusion for events by clicking on the filter event button. You can be very granular with the criteria. And you can also choose the type of events to not store. It is this easy to create a filter for events. This will reduce the size of the database by filtering out the events. This version also supports macOS, and support of Linux is coming later this year. With this release, we have improved the search functionality. You can easily view the results of one of the previous searches or create a new search. Say, I'll filter out the events of process containing the name when. If you're looking for something specific, you can also create an advanced event search. We have also improved the filter bar capabilities. Let's go under the detection tab. Now we will filter out the detection group by the computers and library reputation system. Let's further filter it out by detection where the process was never seen by the ESET live-read. Diving into this detection on CSL seam, you will notice this process is a logarithm one, which is very uncommon and is never seen by ESET live-read system. Now, for a fact, I know this is a valid process. I can easily create an exclusion and tie it down to specific criteria such as process name, process path, signature, hash, specified computer, and the user. You can also further tie this exclusion down by creating an advanced expression where you can define parent and any ancestor process. If we continue, you will notice we can also auto-resolve all the previous detection based on this exclusion as well. Say we go back into the detection and say this was a suspicious process. I can now kill the process or go into the machine and isolate it from the network. Once isolated from the network, you can log into the terminal of the machine and investigate further.